Hello and welcome to episode 8 of The Australian Runner, a show about running and everything running related. I'm Ben, and with me is Chris.
Hello everyone.
This week we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a runner profile. So this entire episode will be about Craig Mottram, rather than any of the other topics like diet and nutrition that we've spoken about in previous episodes. Alright, so let's get started. So we'll start off with a brief biography about him. So he was born in 1980, which means he's 36, turning 37 later this year. And he's 188 centimetres tall, which is 6'2", so he's pretty tall.
Yeah.
His pinnacle achievements, medals, were his bronze at the 2005 World Champs in the 5K, his silver at the 2006 Commonwealth Games in the 5K, and his gold at the Athletics World Cup in 2006 in the 3K. Now, he also has a couple of records as well.
Yeah, he's got the Australian record for the mile, 2,000 metres, the 3,000 metres, the 2 miles, and the 5,000 metres. So those types of distances were his pet events. He also holds the record for the tan, standing at 10 minutes and 8 seconds. I mean, the record that stands out the most is his 5,000 metres. It stands at 12 minutes 55.76.
That's crazy.
Insane to break that 13-minute barrier. Just crazy. When he was at the top of his game, he was just cleaning up. But his PBs for the 3,000 metres are 7:32.19. And for the 1,500 metres, it's 3:33.97.
So, do you have any favourite memories of any of the races that he's been in?
I just remember the 2006 Commonwealth Games, both the 5,000 metres, when he had that tight tussle that went right to the last lap with just him and the eventual winner. It was just so tight. He just was running so tough. I thought he was unbeatable, but the bloke just kicked past him in the last 100, and it was such a shame to see him lose. And then, of course, there was the controversy when he fell and was tripped up in the 1,500 metres. He was the favourite to win. Everyone expected him to win. I think it was about, can't remember, maybe 700 to go, where he got tripped, fell back to the field, had to chase and catch up, and just never recovered properly. Finished in 9th position, and Nick Willis ended up winning that race.
Yeah. So, obviously, he's got his nickname.
Yeah, so by the Africans called him the Big Mzungo. Big because he was tall and he was a white, dominating against the Africans. One thing was that he's the only non-African to have won a medal at a World Championships in the 5,000 metres since 1987.
Yeah, so he's running really well.
Yeah, he kind of broke that stranglehold that the East Africans had over the 5,000 metres when he was around, and he really pushed them and competed very hard against them.
Yeah, something we haven't seen in ages.
Yeah.
So, one thing that's really interesting is that he was coached by Nick Bideau.
Yes, the guru coach, yes.
But that was only until 2008, and ever since then he's coached himself. He hasn't had a coach.
Yeah, it was an interesting decision in 2008 to self-coach. He'd had a lot of success with Nick running up until that point, but it was in 2008 where things just didn't go to plan that year, and he's like, I've had enough experience running, learning, doing all this tough training over the years, that he felt confident enough to be able to write his own programs and carry them out by himself. So it was a brave effort. I think Nick just sat back and was more a mentor, but yeah, stopped being his coach. Even for when he made the run at the Rio Olympics for the marathon team last year, he was self-coached. So yeah, interesting, but you've got to have a lot of knowledge and be confident in your ability. I always would probably prefer a coach because there's just something about somebody else looking at your program and what you're doing rather than your initial biases and things.
Yeah, definitely those unknown unknowns, because you need somebody else to come along and say something that you might not have had any idea about that you were doing wrong or could improve. So, yeah, it's really interesting for someone like that to have the confidence to go out and be self-coached. And now, what do you know about his training sessions, his training plans every week?
Craig Mottram used a tried and tested model for his training program. He consistently ran 180 kilometers per week, every week, and the whole base of his training program was around that consistency. That meant that there was 2 runs on most days. He'd do 3 hard sessions a week, usually on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. 1 long run, usually on a Sunday.
And how long would that long run be?
I think Craig was doing 2 to 2.5 hour long runs on a Sunday morning. And the rest of his runs were just mileage at a very easy pace. He once described that they always run slowly on recovery runs, and that some of the time he'd be dropped by girls just because he made sure he ran them really slowly, so that on those 3 tough, hard training sessions that he did in the week, he could really kill himself there and run hard and not be fatigued from those normal, regular runs.
Yeah, and that was definitely the one main thing that I took away from what I've read about him, was his emphasis on those recovery runs. He did them a lot slower than other people would generally do a recovery run. Everyone knows they're for recovery, but he ran them even slower than other people were doing. So that's definitely something interesting about his training sessions, along with the huge amount of mileage that he was running too. So we found online on Cool Runnings that Craig has his 10 steps to becoming a better 10k runner.
So this was found on Cool Runnings, running forum. His first step is that you have to identify your strengths and weaknesses before you even start training and planning to run. That means that you see where you're weakest and try to improve that most and make your strengths even greater and make them elite. The second step is to understand the demands of the event. Know what your goal pace is for your 10k, your goal finish time. Maybe if you're targeting a specific race, what the course is like. Know what your goal is. The third step is design a training program, even and balanced, that hits all the aspects of running and the event you're focusing on, in this case the 10 kilometers. Fourth step, make sure you do a long run. An experienced runner, according to Craig, should be running about 2.5 times the distance that you're about to race. So for 10k it's 25 kilometers, so fairly long. Novices slightly less, but all long runs should be between 1.5 hours to 2.5 hours. The fifth step is to practice race pace running. That means doing fartlek sessions, interval sessions. They're your hard sessions at race pace, so your body gets used to what you're trying to do. 6, threshold running. Make sure you include a run maybe once a week, just below lactate accumulation, so to increase how fast your body can run for longer periods of time. Number 7, include a strength program, especially targeting the core, because a strong posture will help so much with your running and technique, and you'll just get those efficiency gains as well. Maybe some general also strength stuff, legs, arms, whatever.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people don't often think about as well. Get really concentrating on just the running. That remembering to do some more strength stuff in the gym is really good as well.
Yeah, definitely. Number 8, make sure you do some sort of technique work. Running drill is always good. You can go online, find some, do them maybe at the end of a session or the like. Number 9, mental strength. Build confidence in your performance from your training. If you're training well, make sure that mentally you're ready to go on race day, that you know that you can do it and you believe that you can do it. 10, coaching. Well, this is like coaching advice. Craig says that it's up to you, but the main point with a coach is to make sure that the whole program's balanced and targeting all facets of the event. Novices will most likely need a coach because they know less about the aspects of running. More experienced runners may be fine to do it by themselves.
Yeah, and with that mental strength, forcing yourself. Obviously, if you're an elite runner, you're going to force yourself to do the sessions anyway. But if you're a more novice, it just helps you to have like a regular session booked with someone, so it's harder to skip out on a session.
Yeah, definitely.
And, so do you have any final thoughts to take away after reading about Craig Mottram?
Yeah, I'll leave you with one quote that he's once said. I think this was way back in about 2004. "We do a lot of things in training that mimics race situations. However, you can never beat the race environment, and you can never train to the standard that you can race at. That's one of the problems some athletes encounter. They train too hard and leave their best form on the training track, rather than stepping up another gear in races. Better to train smart and just get many of the sessions done so that the fitness levels accumulate slowly over time."
That's a really good quote.
It is. If you're interested in learning more about Craig Mottram, a couple of years back they made a great documentary called The Big Mzungu. It's available on YouTube. Check it out if you're interested.
I think that's all we've got to talk about for Craig Mottram. And if you like that, you can give us some feedback on Facebook. Send us a message. But now we're going to finish things off with the news.
Back to the news for this week. So the big announcement was that the Australian team for the Nitro Athletics Series has been announced. I'll just run through the names of the men. So we've got Alex Hartman, Jack Hale, Aaron Stubbs, Luke Stevens, Justin Molino, Ryan Gregson, Jeff Risley, Luke Matthews, Fabrice Lapierre, Curtis Marshall, Hamish Peacock, and rounding it out is Scott Reardon. Then the women: Morgan Mitchell, Annalise Ruby, Riley Day, Christine Wern, Michelle Yenicke, Genevieve Lacaze, Lyndon Hall, Heidi C., Brooke Stratton, Liz Parnov, Catherine Mitchell, and Ella Pardy. In racing news, Alex Rowe, the 800-metre Australian record holder, raced in New Zealand over the weekend and won convincingly. I think it was about 4 seconds in 1:48. So a great way to be racing this early in the season. The elite fields for the Boston Marathon were announced this week. Unfortunately, no Australians have been named, but plenty of great and elite athletes have been named in the field. New South Wales hosted the 60-metre state championships over the weekend, and Abby Taddeo got the chocks in the women's event, running 7.52 seconds, and then backed it up with a win in the 100 metres, which was a non-championship event. Bridie Delaney continues her outstanding form. She won the 3,000 metres comfortably in 9:33. She has a great season so far. In the men's 60-metre state championship for New South Wales, Ryan Browning won in 6.83 seconds. Somebody to look out for in the coming years. Moving to Queensland, they had the Alana Boyd Shield, and the standout performance was Trey Williams, won the men's 100 metres in 10.4 seconds. Moving west to WA, and they had their state 5,000 metre championships over the weekend, just incorporated into a regular meet. Isaac Birrer won the men's race in 14:24, a mere second ahead of Joshua Tedesco, so it was a close race. In the women's race, Sienna McQuillan won with a time of 17:05, I think she won quite easily. Overseas now, it's the start of the indoor season for athletics, and we'll try to keep you up to date with any Aussies competing over there or away from home.
Great, thanks for that, and keeping us updated as you always do. So that's the end of the show for this week. You can check us out on YouTube, SoundCloud or iTunes as The Australian Runner, and you can see us on Facebook and Instagram too. So see you next week.
See you then.